Female Nation survey results for 2013 have been announced, and in studio with me is Rebecca Davis, astronaut supermodel and also a writer for the Daily Maverick. Rebecca.
Thanks for having me.
It's always a pleasure to have you here. So the other thing we saw from the survey is that 84% of women are going to the polls next year.
Yes, they're going to vote.
Yeah.
Well, I assume, as always, that there is a gulf between what people say they will do in polls and what they will actually do.
It's true, it's true. The thing with surveys is people want to make themselves feel better.
Yes.
Like, I am definitely going to the gym 3 times a week, but you are not.
And I drink no more than 2 units of alcohol per week.
Exactly, yeah. Although, I mean, one would hope that 84% would go to the polls. What I was wondering was, do you think this is to maintain the status quo, or do you think that women want change?
Well, given that we're dealing with a fairly elevated income bracket, 6K a month might not seem like a lot, but actually that is above the average income for South Africans.
Yeah.
I mean, one obviously can't speculate about the individual voting preferences, but I would be curious to compare that to male voting patterns to see if women are going to the polls in greater numbers. I don't necessarily see why that would be the case, especially because, you know, men have a history of greater political engagement just in terms of the roles offered to them. But it would be interesting to see. I mean, we're one of the few countries that has really good levels of female representation in parliament. So maybe there's a kind of inspiration there for women to get more politically engaged these days. But you were saying something interesting about the correlation between crime victims and voting.
Yes. Unfortunately, sadly, most depressingly, distressingly, women who have been victims of specifically gender crimes, like rape, abuse, spousal abuse, etc. There was a marked declination in those numbers for women who wanted to vote.
Isn't that fascinating? Why do you think
that declination is a word?
Decline.
I want to say decline.
I wasn't going to say anything.
Yes, you should. It's my second language. So there's actually a decline in women who have suffered spousal abuse and been victims of rape to vote. Yeah, which makes, I guess it does make sense in a way, because it is a very aggressive, disempowering thing.
Yeah.
I mean, to be a constant victim of abuse must make you feel that you are losing power.
Yeah.
I don't know, it's very sad. What do you think about it?
I think that's a very curious finding. I've never heard anything quite like it. I mean, it is possible to read, you know, too much into these results, I suppose.
No, it's just statistics eventually.
Statistics are statistics, but I think that what you say would have to be the only plausible reason, that there's something to do with a disempowering space, although one doesn't want to obviously tar all domestic violence survivors with the same brush. But it might also just to be with kind of autonomy and freedom of movement. I mean,
that's the other thing. I mean, are these women allowed to leave their houses? Are they even allowed to go to the polls?
Well,
do their husbands hide their IDs? Who knows? You know, crazier things have happened.
That's true. That's true. It's an interesting one. I'd like to see more research on that.